Today, I have 5 design tips that's going to instantly make you a better graphic designer and make your stream packages stand out and look incredible. Hang out for the last one. Number 6 is going to be the best one, but almost nobody is going to do it. Does your stream need healing? You've come to the right place. My name is Dr. Heals, and I'm your content cleric. Today's video, we're going to be implementing 5 design tips that every person that is making graphics should know. Yo, Editing Hills here. I almost forgot to tell you in this video, but if you are a content creator, whether that is a streamer, YouTuber, or a TikToker, and you want to increase the quality of your content, make sure you subscribe to my newsletter. I'll have a link down below. All you got to do is hit subscribe, and then you'll be enrolled to receive a newsletter every other Monday. Every one comes with 3 tips, 2 random ideas, and 1 free resource for you. Comes directly to your inbox. Really easy. Just go check it, and it'll be there. By the way, we're going to be using Canva in this video, so if you don't already have it, I'll have a 45-day free trial link down below. All right, enjoy the video. By the way, guys, if you haven't already, make sure you follow me over on Twitch. I stream about 3 days a week. We make these videos live. I'm actually live right now. A lot of what we're doing is suggestions from our friends on stream, so if you want to come hang out and be part of that, come on by. With that said, I'm not using anything very specific here. I just wanted some sort of illustration. I found a Twitter banner, and we've done a little bit of adjustments to it. But the very first tip that we're going to start with is balance. Balance is so important. And so let me go ahead and make a copy of this one so that I can just wreak havoc on it, okay? So imagine if we had this design and we're like, you know, this I think would actually fit really good in this spot over here. And we'll just go ahead and like bump that down, and you know, I think the stuff here just kind of fits a little. I want to snug this in a little tighter, her, and you're like, yeah, that, you know, things kind of fit like this, and you're like, it just doesn't feel right though, does it? Something about this feels more amateur, and I'll tell you why. One is it's way heavy on this left side, right? You have too much going on this left side. You could maybe do this if you took her right here and these designs and kind of shifted them over this way, and then maybe brought this up here to kind of fill in that little bit of space. Like, we want white space. We're gonna get to that in a minute, but you really want balance. You want your design to feel like if it were on a like teeter-totter, like it wouldn't be shifted all to one side, but it would actually hang kind of balanced. Imagine everything that fills white space on your screen has weight. You want it to be balanced. You notice in this design, you have her right here that is taking up a good percentage of the screen. And then you also have this big bold text here that is also taking up a large portion of the screen. They balance each other out. Then you have the logo sitting over here on this left side that balances itself with her name. Then you also at the same time have these little lines that really serve no other purpose than to just be there and continue to balance out the image. So a lot of the mistakes we make in design is just not having images that are balanced well. We fit everything in here because there's space to make it fit, but what we do is we make it feel off balance, and we try to fix it by, like, you know, and something needs to go over here, so we'll move that there, and that, you know, kind of helps, but it still feels very unbalanced. And so we want to make sure that, think of it like a teeter-totter or a pendulum, right? Is it equally balanced, or is one side dragging the other one down? If it's dragging it down, it's unbalanced, and your layout needs to be changed. Layout design is one of the most essential parts of graphic design. Like, even as I'm looking at this, I feel like this should kind of shift over this way. And as you fidget with it and make adjustments, you'll start to see ways to improve it. So yeah, the first thing is just going to be balance when you're designing something, whether this is a Twitter banner, a stream overlay, or even a social media post. You want to make sure that it feels balanced. That's going to be one of the first determining factors of how pro it feels. The very next thing we want to look at is, well, what are our people looking at? So I'm going to delete this one. I'm going to go ahead and make another copy. So there is something called textual hierarchy. And so the idea is that if everything is important, then nothing is important, right? So you always want there to be an important text. For example, if I wanted to add text to this image, I could hit the text box right here, and it's gonna ask me if I want to add a heading, a subheading, or a body of text. that is your textual hierarchy. Every design should have a heading. That's the primary attention grabbing factor, right? When I have a heading, it's like, this is what the audience will read first. That's the purpose. The purpose of the heading is to make sure the audience reads it first. Then if they are interested in that little bit of information, then they'll read everything else. The heading is to hook them. The big body text, that is the textual hierarchy. They should read the heading and then find the name. And this is like the subheading, and then they should go and scan the image for the rest of the information. But the heading themselves is what draws them in. If I were to have, you know, this just like this, and also had this bold and had real estate broker, you know, the same size as Rose Christina, and I kind of tuck this in and also make that bold because they need to know that she's a real estate broker, and you know what, they need to know that we do real estate, so I'm going to make that bold. And me having all of this, what has just happened? As soon as my audience sees this graphic, they're like, oh, too much. Too much is going on, and they scroll, right? If you want to stop the scroll, you hook them with the words, and then they'll read the rest. They don't need to see everything immediately. They'll scan the picture when they're interested. But if all they see is a wall of text, they're not interested. They're not going to stop. They're going to keep scrolling. So it's really important to have textual hierarchy, a hierarchy of information. And so you want to have a header. You don't need 3 headers. You don't need 2 headers. You need 1 header, and that should be the most intriguing bit of information. And so for this, we have our tagline, Happy Homes, Where Dreams Come Home. That's our tagline. Actually, someone in our chat made that up, and I think it's amazing. But that's the tagline, Happy Homes. Do you want a happy home? Continue reading and you'll find out how, right? Your tagline or your header draws them in to read more. You don't need 4 headers. You only need 1. And then the rest of everything else should actually be quite a bit smaller. I mean, I want this design to actually feel fresh. I want it to feel like you can breathe when you look at it. And so I'm not opposed to really shrinking the rest of the stuff down and allowing my header to be the main point of display, right? And I would tweak this obviously more so that it has more balance to it. But the main point is you want to make sure that you have something that is the main focus and then everything else is secondary. Third tip is fonts. Fonts, okay? Because a lot of us don't think about the fonts we're using. We go in and we're looking for a font and we find something we think looks cool and we're like, you know what? I really love a script font. I really like script fonts. And so I think that I'm gonna use a script font in my branding. And you're like, yeah, I think that's what I'll do because I like script fonts. When you choose a font, you're not just choosing a font that you like, you're choosing a font that fits your brand. So the thing is, who is your target audience? That determines your font and your colors and everything else, not necessarily what you like. You clearly want to like your own branding. That's going to make a big deal in you promoting your business and everything else. But you want to choose your font based on your audience. And so for Rose Christina here, who is a real estate broker, I don't think this script font is going to work for her. Same time, I don't think that this slab font is going to work for her. She is a luxury brand, if you will. She is a real estate agent. She is in a suit. Like she's well dressed. She's kept up. So she really needs a really nice, what I would do is probably either a sans serif like this. That's where it doesn't have the little flaky parts coming off like these slabs. A sans serif, a nice sans serif font like was used here, or a nice classy a nice classy serif font could even go really well in this design. And this is something that I would spend some time looking for and finding. And so I could even see doing something like Playfair Display. I love this font, actually. It's a really nice font. But for her branding, I could see moving more into a design like this. Now, with that said, I actually really like this branding that we have going on here. I love this sans serif. Pragmatica is a great font for this branding. I could definitely see changing this to something like a Lato. Oh, Lato is a great font. We can go into like a Lato bold, and I think that would work well too, but we'll go with the font that was already there. But let's say we're working on some different branding. So let's say we don't have Rose Christina. Let's say we have like a biker, right? And he sells leathers or something. Okay, let's go with that. We'll go with this guy right here. Okay, so grab him, edit image. Okay, background remover, apply. We're just gonna size him up. kind of make him fit right in here, looking really, really cool. Right, now this is clearly going to change our branding. I'm going to try to position him so that he feels a little better balanced as well. Okay, so his name is like, I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you think? Henry Ford. I don't know. That's where I went with that. Okay. Yeah, sure, he does real estate too, but this is not his brand. This is Henry Ford, man. He's a biker. He's a cool dude, right? So his brand is probably, we're going to pull in some of these reds that he has going on here. I don't want it like a bright red, but yeah, there we go. And then we have, you know, this guy. And so we're kind of changing up the branding. So what I'm saying is we would change, you know, he would have different colors. He would have different branding. This font, it probably wouldn't be that font right there. We would probably go with something, you know, probably still something like a bold sans serif font. Definitely not that, but something that feels a little bit edgy, a little bit, a little more strong, if you will. Something like a horizon, and then dump this down, right? And then you're starting to notice another rule that we're running into is the rule of contrast. We're losing contrast inside of the circle because the circle is dark and so is our font. And so you want contrast as well. We're starting to lose that in this particular image. And so a couple ways around that. One is to, you know, either back this up like this so that it is not coming over that font or not coming over that font so much, right? We can definitely move it around to do something like this with it, to kind of come over this stuff over here. But what we could do is maybe use it to our advantage and do something like this with it and change this to white. So your fourth tip is going to be contrast. We're going to go ahead and jump into that while I make some changes here. And we can kind of size these, bump these over. I don't want to make those too big actually. So we can start kind of working on this. We can change this to our new font, which is Horizon. If you've been around here for a while, you know I love this font. And Horizon. Maybe on this one we'll find something that has a lowercase. Maybe something like a Lato I think is good. And just slowly we are changing out this branding. I'm going to go actually back with Lato on this one as well. Just something that has kind of some strong shape to it. I would probably not use this logo for him. But you know, since we're here, I'll go ahead and use it now. And you know, maybe change this out and again, make this Lato, shift this all over. Again, I'm fixing my balance from some of the changes we just made. Just to make this feel more balanced. You notice I'm trying to line it up with this line, trying to line it up with this line if I can. And I may have to kind of make some adjustments, but you can tell we've completely changed the branding. We've changed the color. We've kept contrast. We have contrast kind of everywhere at this point. We could even, I think, adjust his size a little bit. I really liked how that looked coming over his shoulder there. And then I can even dress him up just a little bit, I think, with going in and adding a little bit of shadow. I like a backdrop, I think would look really good on him. So it's just kind of coming back here behind him. I think that looks really nice. For the sake of this video, I won't change the logo, but I would absolutely change this logo. But yeah, just like that, we have a completely different style, a completely different brand. We could play around, we could tweak this, make it feel really good. Notice that we are still really well balanced. We have a strong right side presence. We now have the strong left side presence. We've stayed balanced. We still have the textual hierarchy with our header being right here in the front. Then we have you know, his name and him here, and we've just completely changed the branding in just a few moves. And this is what you should be doing with your templates, is come in, use the base, but change the branding and change it all up to make it fit what you're doing and what you're about. The very last tip I'm going to use to actually explain right here is don't be afraid of white space. Okay? Don't be afraid of negative space. This is what I'm talking about. See all of this white? A lot of people, when they're new to design, they'll think that they've got to fill up all of this white, and I've got to make sure that all of this is kind of covered up, and you know, maybe some of this looks cool, but the more that you add and the more that you're afraid of this like white space, the more amateur it feels. The empty space in your design is just as important as the filled space. Okay, you know what it feels like when you go into a room and it's really cluttered and it feels really like claustrophobic and you're like, I don't feel comfortable here. The same thing is true with design. When you have too much going on and everything is too big, right? When everything is too big and you've just tried to make everything the focus, it just starts to feel cluttered. And when it feels cluttered, it feels uncomfortable, and nobody wants to look at that. Okay, it feels amateur, it feels really weak, it feels like something I don't want to look at. Whenever you have so much going on, you've neglected the white space. The white space, again, is just as important as the filled space. And when everything is important, nothing is important. And so you want to make sure that you keep it so that there is plenty of white space in your design. The sixth and final tip, if you've made it this far, you're about to learn the most important tip that will improve you more than anything else I've said, but most of you will not do it. You want to hear what it is? Still. You're like, whoa, that's extreme, Jeff. Let's just slow down a little bit. Not still, but still like an artist. Honestly, this is what I want you to do. This is the best practice that you can have, is to simply redesign what another incredible designer has made. And so this is exactly what I would do. If I wanted to learn how to design a Twitter banner, or let's start with a logo. We've messed with a Twitter banner long enough. Let's start with a logo. Let's pick a decent one. Okay. Let's go with this one. This is a nice simplified logo. This is a good logo, okay? This is what a logo should look like. Here's what I'm gonna do. That looks really cool. Let's remake it. What did they put into making it? Seriously. So delete it. Or better yet, just shrink it down. Put it over in the corner. Now I'm gonna make it. All right, I can go and I would use exactly the same font that they used. I know that they used Mont Bold, right? No, just T to type, put something in there, and we're gonna type your name, right? Let's just actually not. Let's just do it exactly how they did it. Okay, so what we're doing is we're simply learning how to recreate and how to create something that looks really good. Now, I will say it's already doing on all our font text effects for us, and so it's a little bit of cheating. So maybe save this as an image and pull it in another image so that you don't have anything to rely on. But for the sake of this example, we'll start here. We can tell theirs is left aligned, and so I'm going to left align mine. Okay, we're there. I will say I can tell they have a little bit of, oh, I guess not. I really thought they had some kerning done to it, but they don't. So that's one thing to make a note of, that they don't have it kerned in, they don't have it kerned out, they have it actually at 0. And then we can look for this grocery bag, right? And so I don't know, maybe this is just a chat bubble. So now we're going to go on a search for a chat bubble, and we are literally trying to make the exact same logo. Don't post this in your portfolio. Don't take credit for it. Like, this is not your design, but what you're doing is you're learning by doing. So this is how I started out. This is how I learned to design. When I started designing 10 years ago, I watched YouTube and I followed tutorials step by step by step. Like, I typed in the same words they did. Like, I did everything that they did until I started to develop my own style and started to develop my own way. And so you may come through here and you're just looking for, this particular chat bubble, and it may take you a while to find it. For this example, I'm going to steal that one so that we don't spend all day looking, but you can go through here and find the exact one. Maybe find one that looks similar. Why did they choose this chat bubble? Right? And then you're going to work on sizing it up and having it kind of match. But why did they choose this one? In my opinion, they chose it because what we just talked about earlier, for balance. You feel how if I had this by itself, shop grocery does not feel balanced. There's more weight to this left side than the right. Now, I could absolutely grab it and center align it, and I've now fixed that. But I can't put an icon on it because now it's too heavy to the right side. So the teeter-totter is dropped to the right side. So I can left align it, and I can put this image here. I also think they chose it, one, because it fits very flush against this side. It is flush against this side, and it kind of lines up perfect with this Y here. So it fits really well. If anything, I feel it's a little top heavy, like it comes up a little high, but I actually think it looks okay. It does look good still. But you can kind of look at that and you can start to learn why they made the decisions they made and why their design came out the way that it came out. And so anyway, that is the final tip, is to go and find designs that you really like. A more complex one may be, something like this one. I feel like that's a nice design, but to go through and try to design one that matches that as best as you can. So yes, the final tip is still. still like an artist. You're not taking credit for this, but you're going to learn the mechanics of designing good designs. And so a more complex one probably would be a Twitter banner, as I'm thinking about it, is to go through and look at something, you know, like, I don't know. Let's, you know, we could go back with that one we had, but let's go with this one, right? We'll go to preview it. You could go with something like this, and you would have to go in and figure out exactly how they made this top part kind of like shaded the way it is. I bet it's just white with its opacity lowered. Then you could put you'd put these dots. You'd put your image in. You'd find out, put your image in a frame, and you find out how to put a border around that image, and so just follow this step by step and recreate these images. My challenge for you is for the next week, recreate one image a day. All right, but if you enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe to this channel. I'm putting out content just like this to help you build out your visual identity and make you a better streamer. I do hope this has been beneficial to you. I hope you subscribe, and I'd love to see you in the next one.